Am I the a-hole for ruining family therapy? My 18F mom died when I was 7. My father aka step-sibling's dad remarried a year later. His new wife had 3 kids, kid A, 8M, kid B, 6M, kid C, 3F. He said she wanted a dad for her kids and he wanted a mom for me. I remember telling him I didn't want a new mom. He said I would understand later. My step-sibling's dad basically stopped doing anything alone with me. No more camping nights in the backyard or movie nights, which we had done every week for years. Nothing. He spent time with all his new kids to bond. It's been 11 years and he still doesn't have time for me. BC has a bonding with them. He stopped coming to my games when I got to high school. Senior night at basketball, I told her my step-sibling's dad isn't going to walk me around the floor. BC, he doesn't even come to games. She asked her dad to walk both of us and he was happy to. In a small town that made the paper. BC, they thought it was sweet. My step-sibling's dad flipped out and took us all to therapy. He asked why he hadn't been asked. I said BC, he didn't come to games. He said he didn't know I played basketball anymore. I asked if that's why he didn't come to swim or softball when he couldn't miss Kid A and BS practices, or come to speech meets when he went to Kid CS dance recitals. He just stared at me and said he didn't know I still did those either. I asked why he talked for days about Kid BS camping trip but didn't ask about my senior trip to Mexico. He said he didn't know I went. I said he signed the form. He admitted he didn't read it. I asked if he remembered the last time I called him dad. He said he didn't know I stopped. I said May 13th, 2021. He said that was the day Kid A, B, and C started. I said I know. You stopped being my dad when you started being theirs. I walked out of therapy. Edit, I played all 3 since I was a toddler, so I'm not sure why he thought I stopped. He never asked why I came home a couple hours after practice or went out on weekends for game days. When I talked about games, he said I thought I was just playing with friends. BC, all my friends play. Update got deleted. Basically I'm getting some info on my trust and belongings it paid for. My friend's dad tried to confront my step-sibling's dad about why I can't go over anymore, but he just shut the door on him and I check in daily with my friend or her parents via phone. My step-siblings are all mad at both their parents and are being very supportive. Relevant comments, Op explaining to her father how she feels about him and her friend's family. At this point I'm more angry that I have to miss practices for therapy and that I'm no longer allowed over to my friend's house. BC, they're a bad influence. I'm happy he found his new family and I found mine. I'd be content with going no contact with them to have my real family back. I miss them so much. When I told him I felt like I lost my family, he cried and said he understood, then got mad and yelled at me when I told him I meant the family I had for the last few years, not him. How does he not know she still does sports? I paid for the sports registration and equipment out of the trust my mom left me. I just had to go to the bank and write out a request and the next day I'd pick up the money. He said if I wanted him there I should have given a schedule. I told him that I don't understand why he would think I would just stop playing all the sports I had played since I was a toddler and that he didn't get schedules from my step-siblings. He got them himself. Then he just got mad and walked out. How did her dad not know she went to Mexico? And how did Op got a passport without a parent? I had to have the form signed at the beginning of the year for numbers planning for the teacher. I was 17. I got my passport after my birthday before the trip and paid for it out of my mom's trust fund. He knew I went on a trip but didn't know where to. I'll probably do an update soon. But basically I'm not allowed to go to my friend's house anymore because he says her parents are a bad influence. He says I never told him anything about what I did, so he shouldn't be expected to know. His wife says she just wanted a dad for her kids and it isn't her fault, which is true. My step-siblings have been nice and said they thought he knew about my games and would be totally okay with him skipping theirs to come to my remaining games. They have been more mad at him than anything else and told him if he can't go to mine then he doesn't need to go to theirs, and he said they were being brats, but they don't care. Update, because a lot of people were worried about me not being able to get my things from my bio father's house and going back to therapy. Turns out it's not even necessary. After my last post my stepmother, shortened to SM, wanted us all to go to the lake house. That's her happy place, safe spaced sanctuary, she says, and it's her answer to everything. Once the boys out, she sends my bio father and her sons to the lake house. Time with her daughter. Lake house. Time alone. Lake house by herself. She does photography there and she's right. It does look like a postcard. 2-story cabinsa style. They never took me for the girls' trips or boy trips, only when everyone went together. My step-siblings won't call bio father dad anymore. My SM said if he isn't their dad and she isn't my mom, why are they even married? Bio F asked if she wanted a divorce and she said she didn't sign up for the drama. They argued and we went hang out by the lake. We've been getting along great now against the parents, which I didn't see coming. Anyway, we went back to therapy yesterday and my step-sis brought up, are they getting divorced? Bio F said not if they can work it out in therapy. Therapist asked if it could be amicable cause it's obvious they're cold to each other. SM said her kids could see bio father, but she would just want her place. He said that wasn't possible. BC, it's actually mine. BC, my mom had it before they were married and it's part of the prenup. SM was livid and ugly, cried, mad all the way home, then asked about the house we live in. BF tried to get her out of the kitchen, but she screamed and he admitted that my grandpa gave it to my mom as a wedding gift before they were married. Turns out he won't let me move out. BC, the house is actually mine since I turned 18. She said split the savings. BC, they had been living way below their means. He told her most the savings and certificates of deposits were accounts set up for me by mom's parents. She has been crying in her room and says I'm selfish for not letting her have the lake house my great-grandpa built and gave to my grandpa, who gave it to my mom. Relevant comments. Commenter, what in the world? So she never put a cent towards those and somehow never asked herself in all those years how the assets would be split in the event of a divorce. Op, I doubt she ever thought about divorce until last week. Everything kind of exploded. Since they don't have a prenup, she probably thought she got half of everything.